ॐ भूरभुवः स्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. Namaste, dear friends. Today I will talk about the self realization and its methods. I will start from concentration, meditation, and contemplation. So, first, I will talk about concentration. Concentration is the doing of puja, that is, act of worship to a particular god in the prescribed manner, and the performance of the various karma kanda rituals. In concentration, God is represented by a symbol, idol, or picture, and worship is done by various movements of the physic. Here, the mind is drawn out in the various physical, oral, and mental motions that one has invariably to make in such acts of worship. Thus, God is symbolized and is conditioned by the action or motions of the body, mana, and buddhi. All the rituals prescribed under the Kram Kanda come under this head. This is the most ordinary type of sadhana or spiritual practice. Even in puja, there is still a better type. Here you go to the puja room, sit before the idol or figure, and instead of engaging yourself in various activities, just look at the idol or figure. The movements of the hands, feet, and mouth have no place here. All actions are stopped, and puja is just confined to the act of looking. But here too, the infinite Sarvesvara is symbolized. He is taken to be external to the devotee. Here, Brahma is made concrete and the mind is still drawn out as mental vibrations or virtis. So, this is only better than the former. Among the pujas, the best type is not to look at any picture or make any type of movements or do act at all, but it is to imagine the form of God. It must be purely a mental act, but here also God is extern- externalized or represented by a symbol. That symbol is imagined within the mind when you close your eyes and try to fix in the mind the form of God. Here it is concentration within and by the mind. Most of the external actions are dropped off there and the mind imagines alone. Though this is the best type of worship, even here God is conceived as being conditioned. Brahma is taken to have a rupa, a form, and as such, this is not the real and right sadhana. Now, I will talk about meditation. The next level in sadhana is to step into dhyana. Here, one leaves the form but takes to a name nama. The form is given up, but a particular sound is caught by the mind. One concentrates now on the sound or dhvani of a particular mantra. So Adi Shankaracharya has told, a person having the divine light in his heart and meditating with full devotion will eventually achieve enlightenment. This achievement in itself is the salvation and attainment of Vishnu Loka, that is the abode of Lord Vishnu. It is said that the following practices in succession are subtler and subtler. Starting with Rupa, it goes to sound, then to light, then to the origin of the mind, and finally to the dissolution of the mind. This is an important principle in Adhyatam Sadhana. The shorter the mantra, the better it is. All of the mantra japas come under the sound or dhavani meditation. Mantras are many in number and are of many varieties. If you go through Tantra Shastra, it gives thousands of mantra. Gayatri is a very wonderful Vedic mantra. Among all these mantra, if you take the shorter ones, those will be better. Do not take to repetition of long mantras. Among all the mantras, the shortest and the best mantra is Om, A-U-M, Om or Parnava. Two methods of mantra japa. In the repetition of the mantra, there are two methods followed. To repeat or mutter it by the movements of the lips, making it audible is the lower method. The higher method of japa is not to repeat the mantra and audible by all. You will have to chant it silently, mentally, without even opening your lips or moving your tongue. So, the shortest mantra and the silent mental repetition of it form a higher class meditation or japa. But even this is not the highest type of sadhana. Even silent repetition of Omkara Parnava cannot compare with Gyan Nishtha. Om is symbol of Brahman. What are the reasons for saying so? Even in such mental chanting, one does not have the right concept as to what the Brahma is. Here, the Brahma is brought down to the level of Omkara. Om itself is taken to be the Brahma, which is thus symbolized or thought to be symbolized in this mantra. Actually, one should think of the mantra and then direct the mind to the state of Brahma above the level of mantra. We shall know this better through an example. You are walking in the street. There is a signpost at a crossing showing the direction to particular town. You never mistake the post to be the town itself. It only indicates where the town is. So, instead of hugging the signpost, you must walk in the direction pointed out by it. Similarly, you have to know and study the Omkara as a help to know more about the Atma. Then you must just transcend the Omkara and go to the state of the Atma as indicated by it, mistaking the symbol as Brahma. When you do japa puja, you take the idol to be the god. That is not correct. By keeping it as a representation of God, you just send the mind up and try to remember the all pervasive Brahma beyond time and space. We make the mistake of thinking that the transcendental Brahma, that Sarvesvara beyond all limitations, such as time, space, etc., has come down as the idol. That attitude of taking the Partika itself as Brahma Sarvesvara is wrong. Similarly, to think that Om itself is Paramatmanam and that nothing else needs to be known is absolutely wrong. Many theoretical Vedantins and even many sannyasis are caught up in such a delusion, and for years they spend their time in the repetition of Om, never attaining jnana. They are just fooled or deluded as they stick to the sound of the mantra without sending the mind to the truth indicated by it. But Omkara, when repeated silently in the mind, becomes the highest dhyana, and this can be converted into Nidhi Dhyasana, that is contemplation, by better Vedantic understanding of the meaning and purport of Om. What does Om mean? Contemplation. Let us now analyze the meaning of Om. It represents the three states of our experience, Jagrat, Swapna, and Susupti. We recognize the external world only in one of these three states. Mind acts only in and through these states. The world is there as long as the mind is there. Mind is there as long as these three states are there. The individual or the world means, in a sense, just these three states. So, Om represents these three states that characterize the Jiva. It is known by all students of Vedanta that Atman is beyond these three states and the Antakarana, the inner equipment. So, Om not only represents Jagrat, Swapna, and Susupti, but also it indicates the basic principle, pure consciousness, Atman, upon which these three states come and go, just as waves are formed on the surface of the ocean. Waves are nothing but the ocean in a sense. Waves rise up, stay, and subside in the ocean. The ocean is never affected by the presence or absence of waves. It remains ever the same, but waves cannot exist without the ocean. Such is the relation between the three states, waves and the Atma. The meaning and purpose of Om. Now, as the basis of Jagrat, Swapna, and Susupti, as the basis of all our experiences, inner or outer, there is the pure consciousness, that is Atma. How to locate it is the problem. That must be indeed the first effort of the sadhaka. We have to go to the substratum of this universe, that is of the mind. For this, our ancestors first searched the outer world but could not get at the substratum. When they turned within and retreated into the inner chambers of their consciousness, they found the substratum Atman. For teaching others the technique of introversion or retreating within, they discovered this beautiful mantra Om. Now let us study the content and the idea of Om. Any experience in the universe, anything that is seen or felt, can be communicated through phonetic sounds. Our rishis analyzed the science of phonetics. Take, for example, when Sanskrit letters are spoken, the sounds come from the throat, originate at the tip of the tongue, and are produced by the lips. All sorts of possible combinations are represented in the Sanskrit alphabet in the arrangement of the letters. All these sounds can be contained within the range of these three sounds. A, the one having the origin in the throat; U, that which is from the middle of the mouth; and M, that which is produced by the lips. These three actually represent the range of all phonetic sounds and languages. These also represent the beginning, middle, and end of all phonetic sound. Now, our rishis united these sounds together as Om and produced the mantra which is otherwise named Pranava. Thus, Om represents the entire range of verbal sounds. Again, Om represents the three states of consciousness, Jagrat, Swapna, and Susupti. As observed already, the ocean is not just the waves alone, it is something more than and beyond the waves. Similarly, Atman is not just the three sounds or states, but something more and beyond. This fact is indicated by the Ati mantra, the elongation of the sound of Om, the humming sound at the opening and closing of the lips. The Ati Matra represents the pure consciousness or Turiya. So, you must have this correct understanding of the meaning and purport of Om. With this knowledge, when you sit down and mentally chant Om, 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 you have to feel that three states of consciousness, Jagrat, Swapna, and Susupti merge in the pure consciousness as the three parts of the Pranava merge in the Ati Mantra. This merger is not to be imagined but actualized. Cultivating this bhava every time you chant Om, the process becomes contemplation or nididhyasana, and the mind goes back to its source, that is the pure consciousness or Atman. This is neither concentration nor meditation. This bhava converts the Omkara dhyana into Vedantic contemplation. Without such a bhava, if the emphasis is merely on the sound aspect, it is just meditation and not contemplation. Such is the real technique of Vedanta sadhana. Many sannyasis for years carry on meditation on Om, but since they do not as an upasana or sound meditation, they never come near jnana sadhana. So do not emphasize the sound aspect, cultivate the bhava and then feel Om. Thus go through the sound to the bhava and thence to the pure consciousness and sink the mind there. This is nididhyasana. As the three syllables merge in the Ati Matra, let the three states of consciousness, the thoughts, merge and dissolve in the silence and let the Atman unfold there. There is still better technique discovered by the rishis. To know this technique, you have first to know the nature and function of the ego. Now, how to trace the ego and know its functions? Let us trace the ego. Sit down and mentally chant Om and simultaneously generate the bhava that the pure consciousness represented by the Ati Matra is the substratum on which the three states of the consciousness come and go. But at that time, your mind will stay away in the form of other virtis that develop in the mana, buddhi, or chitta. These multifarious virtis come and go, following each other in quick succession, but behind them there is a relative witness remaining unchanged as long as the virti is lost, and that is the ego or aham virti. See, when our I-ness identify with the body, so this thought or virti, what we call, is known as ego. Mind and ego both are originated from our soul, our Atma. For mind and ego, the source is our soul. So this we have to remember. I and the mind. The false I or I identifying with the body gives rise to the mind. The continuous flow of thoughts from the Atma constitute our mind. Mind is not an independent entity. Mind is completely, mind depends upon completely on the Atma because mind originates from the Atma. This we have to remember. The universe or anything objective to us is known only through the sense organs. See, our Atma is just a witness. All our day-to-day functions, thinking, talking, everything is done with the help of ego and our mind. The sensations or impressions are gathered by the mana. Mana means mind, and the mana is nothing but a collection of thoughts, notions, or ideas, virtis. Now, all these thoughts come upon that innate I, in other words, these have the ego as the substratum. So, hmm, our ego is doing all the functions in our daily life. So the I, ego become the universe. See, continuity of thoughts arising from the soul constitute mind, and I-ness identifying with the body constitute ego. Everything that we experience, object in the world or subjective in the mind, is the expression of the I. Only in Susupti the I remains dormant. If in a dream you fly in an aeroplane, that plane is the creation of your own mind. In short, it is the expression of the projection of the I. The deluding expression of the ego. Now, this ahankara or I also comes from the pure consciousness as a ripple, just as the waves come upon the surface of the ocean. The ego ripple remains stable and non-changing, serving as the background for the other thought ripples to come and go. The I thought is the first thought. Rest all the thoughts come after I thoughts. So I thought is the original thought. This ego again has a very curious and wonderful capacity. When it sprouts up from the pure consciousness as a ripple, it has the power to cloud the substratum itself. See, ego originates from the soul, and this ego try to cover up the soul. This feature of the ego is called avarna, like a veil, veiling. It veils the Atma. It covers the Atma. The capacity to veil, mask the substratum. It has also the power to present or express itself as something apart from the pure consciousness. See here, pure consciousness, self, all these words, they are used for our soul, Atma. This feature or power is known as Viksipa. That is a deterrent, a sort of hindrance. On account of Vikshepa, we recognize the outer expression of the ego and are not able to see the substratum, Atma. Atma is the substratum. When the waves are formed on the ocean, they have the capacity to veil the ocean itself. Many children look at the waves, not at the ocean. They take the form of the waves as the reality and forget to see that which is the substratum of the waves. So do the ego and its progeny cloud the Atma. The subtle buddhi can find it. This unique fact of our consciousness should be very careful, observed and understood. Who can understand this? The ego itself can understand this through the subtle buddhi. Is not buddhi an expression of the ego? Ego analyzes things and arrives at conventions with the help of buddhi. Our buddhi has two functions, as it were, one which analyzes the facts and problems of the external nature, and the other, the subtle one, which ponders subjectively and discovers the hidden facts of our consciousness. Virtigina is essential for contemplation. Virtigyan. Understand clearly that the three states of consciousness, that is Jagrat, Swapna and Susupti. Jagrat means awakening, Swapan means dream, Susupti means deep sleep, are not at all the absolute reality. The supreme entity we serve as their substratum is the Atma, the pure consciousness. This is the source of all virtis. Virtis means thoughts, ideas. Thoughts ripples, the primary virti coming upon it being the ego. This primary virti means I thought. You must have this virti jnana, knowledge of the nature of the virtis, before you sit and contemplate. Only then can you maintain the bhava. Remember the fact that Atma, pure consciousness, and I are one, or I am the Atma. How to keep this bhava continuously during contemplation? For this, our rishis have invented some glorious mantra, very short but very deep in meaning. One such is Soham. By this mantra, see, we breathe in and breathe out. So these are the two sounds. So, hum. By this mantra, we mean that infinite consciousness is in me as the aham, virti, I-ness. I, the individual, have the all-pervading reality, Sat Chit Ananda, as my true being. The pure consciousness is I. Here, the individual ought to remember and affirm I am the Atma, the pure consciousness. Probing or tracing out the root of the I. So, among all types of sadhana, the best is to trace out the origin of I and remember it constantly. Here, I means I thought. Where from it is originating? It is originating from our Atma, from our soul. So, we have to divert our I thought or mind or ego inwardly. That is the meaning. Theoretically, we know I has its root in the Atma. But how exactly to realize it? This is the problem. More, see, I thought will always try to go outward. It will go outward. Now, to realize the self, we have to divert inwardly. This is the problem. Moreover, before taking up this contemplation, a doubt may arise in us. If the Atma or pure consciousness remains unknown to us, there is no use in repeating Soham. What is the use of repeating Sa? He, when Sa cannot be known. Again, if the Atman is non-principle, there is no need to repeat the mantra. When I am quite conscious that I am a man, there is no need to repeat Manushyoham, I am man, as it is. Atma is not already known to us. And if Atma always remains unknown, what is the use of just repeating Soham? Locating Atma, it is realized only by the mind merging in it. Its existence is grasped by the subtle buddhi. See, we cannot know our soul with the help of mind. Mind has to be destroyed to know the Atma. Atma can be known only by Atma or pure buddhi. Well, here is the answer to such doubting questions. To say that Atman is either known or that it is unknown is wrong. It is neither known nor unknown. It remains always within us as the very basis of our existence, experience, and knowledge. It may not be known through the senses as an external object that is experienced by us. It is beyond the realm of the senses, but can be grasped by the subtle buddhi, the sharp penetrating intellect. So we can locate it vaguely within ourselves and then directly jump on it or merge with it. Withdrawal to the inner chambers of consciousness is the method. The next question is how to locate the Atma, the Sakshi. So far as our experience shows, life consists of just three states of consciousness: Jagrat, Swapna, and Sushupti. In Sushupti, there is no sense experience. The ego remains quite latent. In Swapna, we have the knowledge of the subjective experiences. and these are nothing but the projection of the mind. In Jagrat, we have the knowledge of the external world, objective to us. This knowledge is had through the senses. Our sages first analyzed the external world, made an objective search outside themselves for knowing the ultimate reality. When they failed, they sat down, kept quiet, and conducted the inquiry within. They retreated into the inner recesses of their own consciousness. It was then only that they were able to locate the Sakshi. Sakshi means witness. The witness who sees all the transformations that takes place through Jagrat, Swapna and Susupti, and also serves as the background and source of all the Vertis. Now, how to demonstrate to a sadhaka that there is a Sakshi within who witnesses all these and remains changeless? I have told you already how we can locate the Sakshi in my last talk. I shall repeat it becomes it is very subtle and important matter. The delicate process of comprehension. The antahakarana, the inner conscious mechanism consists of mind, intellect, chitta, and ahankara. Chitta, that is subconscious mind, and ahankara, our ego. In Swapna and Susupti, we cannot do any sadhana. So let us confine our attention to Jagrat only. During our wakeful experiences, various thoughts or virtis are rising up in the antahakarana. These virtis rise up on the mana, buddhi or chitta. Thus, there are three types of virtis. The sense organs gather the impressions of the objective world, and these are taken up by the mana in the form of various ideas and notions. Without the mana, the senses cannot function and mana cannot work only with the help of these sense organs. Mana can be roughly compared to a sensitive camera that gets the impression or image in the sensitive plate through the lens. Indriyas collect impressions and the mana keeps them within as ideas and notions, or rather, we can define the mana to be just a collection of ideas and thoughts, sankalpas. Mana then hands over all these ideas and notions to the buddhi. Buddhi summarily rejects most of them and shifts, analyzes, relates, correlates, and thus churns knowledge or wisdom out these umpteen notions. Just a very fractional part, a minute part of the ideas alone is kept or retained as knowledge by the buddhi. You are reading a book. The eyes read every word. The mana gathers all impressions as ideas. But after closing the book, you can retain only a fraction of the ideas you had while reading. Similarly, by listening to it talk, you can get a lot of ideas expressed, but you gather and keep only a handful of them. This selection and rejection is done by the buddhi. Functions of the mana and the buddhi. Now there is a very important point where the antakarana is functioning at a particular instant, either the manovirti or buddhi virti is produced. While reading a book, you come across a point that kindles your inquiry. You then start thinking, what does the author state? Is he correct or you are listening to my talk? Here too, antakarana is full of manovirtis to start with. But when I pass a particular remark, you just start thinking, what does this, is he correct? That reflection, this analysis is done by the buddhi. When you are thus reflecting, all what I speak then will not make any impression on the mind. When buddhi virti fills the antakarana, mano virti does not exist there. The moment buddhi starts functioning, manovriti stops. So at a particular moment, only one function takes place in the mind. Thus we find that buddhi is that part of the antakarana which takes the necessary ideas or notions from the mana and works upon them and converts them into knowledge. Intelligence is a feature of the buddhi. Buddhi decides, it also orders the mana. Functions of the chitta. The next subtle aspect of our antakarana. There are people who are very intelligent, who will learn anything in an easy manner, but they have no memory. As quick as they learn, they forget too. Their buddhi is quite well developed, but the chitta has no proper development. Chitta is the forgetting and remembering part of the antahakarana. Contemplation by chitta. Now, contemplation must be done by chitta, the most subtle part of the antahakarana. In Bharatvarsha alone, the technique of nididhyasana or contemplation by the chitta was discovered and perfected. Our rishis perfected the technique of contemplation so well that along with the spiritual advancement of the sadhaka, he could also have the development of his intelligence and genius as byproducts. These are just acquired on the way. People blossomed into glorious and highly wise personalities when they took to this technique of contemplation. I have given you the examples of Kalidasa, Valmiki, and Panini, who originally were of very mediocre intellect but became versatile, genial personalities after doing tapas. They attained Atma Jnana and along with it their minds became genial and versatile in a marvelous way. Remember the Sakshi by the Chitta. Nidhi Dhyasana is thus contemplation done by the chitta. The function of the chitta is to forget and remember. When you repeat or mentally chant Soham and Om, you should remember the Sakshi. Soham means the all pervading consciousness is within me or he is I. The meaning of the mantra should not be repeated in any other language. When you mentally say Soham, but you must be able to consciously remember the Sakshi, the witness, that is all. When you sit and meditate, if the mantra japa becomes mechanical, understand that meditation is done by the mana. When you have some stress or strain in the mind and you want to get up from the seat and go away, or when you find it difficult to sit even for a short period, understand that the repetition is done by the buddhi. When you do not feel like getting up and meditation is very happy, peaceful, and effortless, understand that the repetition is then done by the chitta. So serene and calm will be your mind, then you will have a peace and joy then. This is contemplation, the process of remembering the Sakshi. Now, we shall talk about how to remember the Sakshi in contemplation. Before remembering it, you must know previously what the Sakshi is. You must therefore first locate it. I shall explain how to do that. You are sitting down and contemplating Soham. Soham silently and continuously you chant the mantra. Initially, it is done in a calm and peaceful manner at the innermost part of your consciousness. Then suddenly it may come up as buddhi, virti, and a bit of stress will be felt by you during the japa. As we already, antakarana can have only one type of virti at a time. When the buddhi virti fills it, the chitta virti slips off. Then again slowly you continue your repetition. Without your knowledge, many other thoughts and notions will come up then. The manovriti would have set in at the time and the mind would start straying. Just as bubbles are projecting and subsiding in water, so also in very quick succession, these thoughts will be rising up in the antahkarana, so much so that it will no longer be soham but office ahem, house ahem, market ahem. So you will be just spending some time thus when all these thoughts and ideas will be passing through your mind. Then suddenly a very curious thing occurs. Some conscious factor within flashes up from somewhere and just witnesses the straying of the mind. This discovery, this awareness takes place for a very short time, maybe for a split fraction of a second. It suddenly becomes aware of the straying of the mind from the repetition of Soham, discovering the self or the Sakshi. Now be very attentive. Antakarna is full of thoughts. In other words, the mind is composed of thoughts. The mind moves, not being fixed to a single thought. There is a sudden awareness that the mind has gone from one thought to another. This discovery, this awareness cannot be within the mind, antahakarana. That which discovers the straying of the mind cannot be the mind itself. That which sees the thought and its straying cannot be another thought. So, the principle which witnesses the straying of the mind is really something beyond the mind, beyond antahakarana. This is our Atma, the Sakshi Chaitanya within. This is the self, pure consciousness. The discovery of the straying of the mind is by the Atma. Such is the method by which we can very correctly locate the Sakshi, the self. The self is aware of itself, then as the self is pure luminous. So, Prati Prasava, involution, self withdrawal. Once you have this particular experience of locating the Atma, in other words, experiencing the expression of Atma, you should start remembering that pure consciousness, the pure awareness that witnessed the straying of your mind, that which expressed itself when the mind was wandering. You must try to remember that very principle or entity by the chitta. Go within and try to sink in that awareness. In such a retreat, turning within, you will find that the mind automatically dies. It goes back to its source, then sinks and dissolves there. This Vedantic contemplation is therefore to drive the mana, buddhi, etc. to their source or origin. As long as you do japa or concentrate, so long as you keep your vision in objectivity, mana and buddhi will act in an extraverted manner. They will have only the outward movement. It is only the chitta which can have this backward movement. Its functions is not to reach out or project forth, but reflect backward and go within. This is very aptly termed as pratiparsva, which means involution, going back to the source. So mind and ego, they are directed to go to the source, that is our Atma, the spiritual heart. It is subjective retreat within an inward search. This alone will take us direct to the Sakshi witness, that is Atma. All the other methods will pull the mind out or project it into the realm of objective perception. Nature of the chitta. This is how to contemplate by the chitta. Chitta has the capacity to remember and forget. It stores up things in memory, and whenever you want any particular fact or knowledge, it will bring the same back to the forefront of the consciousness. Something known to the mind will be taken over by the buddhi and will be later passed on to the chitta for storage. It has many pigeonholes for storing the accumulated knowledge. This storage in the chitta is called apohana. Now, how can a person remember a particular thing that is forgotten? Draw it out as it were from the depths of the chitta. The technique of remembering and forgetting. The technique of remembering and forgetting is very clearly explained by our rishis. Let us take an example. You are listening to a sloka. I repeat it. You understand it and get it by heart. Now it is stored up in the chitta. Next morning you get up, do your routine things, and suddenly you want to recollect the sloka read out by me the previous day. You start thinking, struggling to bring it back to your mind. You are not able to. What is that? What is that? Such a deep inquiry takes place within you. Your eyes close, your limbs become motionless, all external activities and sensations stop. The mana and the buddhi also stop their function. You are just carried out in the current by the force of deep inquiry. You know it there in the back chambers of your consciousness. It is not immediately tangible or objective to you. That is all. When you carry on such an inquiry, a stage comes when for a fleeting second you forget the world, body, mind, etc. You are in the shunya state, zero state, that is, thoughtlessness, as it were. When you forget yourself, thus, then most curiously, the sloka that you wanted to recapture flashes before you from somewhere. Has this not been the experience of all of us? Suddenly, from somewhere, the forgotten sloka flashes for so. The process of forgetting yourself consciously is the process of remembering a forgotten thing. It may sound to be a paradox, but it is a fact. Precisely when you try to remember a thing intently, you forget everything, and when you thus forget everything, consciously you catch back in a flash the forgotten thing. Self inquiry, remembering Atma. Atma is always there, and we have somehow forgotten it. We have now to consciously try to remember the Atma through the Chitta. Buddhi and Mana cannot do it. The Atma cannot be perceived or known by them. Take to the process of contemplation by Chitta and do it intensely. When you are absorbed thus in a very deep and serious inquiry, suddenly the mind will stop, all thoughts will cease, and the Atma will just unfold, reveal itself. This is the supreme sadhana, the Vedantic Nidhi Dhyasana. All of other processes will take the mind out in concentration or meditation. The mind comes out, it symbolizes the Atma outside objectively or inside in the form of imaginations. You are imprisoned in the realm of Nama and Rupa, outer or inner, but the Vedantic process of a Nidhi Dhyasana is beyond Nama and Rupa. It is done at the level of Sakshi, the highest principle in the human personality. Now, when you actually sit and contemplate and try to remember the Sakshi, or without your knowledge, other thoughts will rush in. Do not fear the straying of the mind in contemplation. Do not be discouraged. As Krishna says in Gita, where the mind strays away, you must bring the mind back and keep it steady on the Atma. So, do not relax your effort. The human mind has such a vast accumulation of past tendencies that it won't easily take to this type of contemplation. It will be terribly reluctant to contemplate, but never allow it to dominate you. In the initial stages, you must have serious, sincere, steady, and intense sadhana. Never allow the mind to control you. Man and Buddhi should obey you always. Ask Chitta to contemplate and never slacken your efforts till you reach a stage where contemplation is effortless, free, and peaceful. You must never relax your effort. It certainly takes some time to perfect this technique. You will find peace and joy in the practice gradually. So, steady, serious, sincere sadhana is indispensable for progress on the spiritual path. Nididhasana is subtle, not difficult. Hence, take to this glorious method of Vedantic Nididhasana. Do not think I hate pujas, idols, etc. Not at all. But these practices are at the lowest rung of spiritual sadhana. When a better, nobler, easier course is offered, take to it directly. Don't think you have to go through every stage step by step immediately. Accept the highest technique. Come on and take to it wholeheartedly. It is subtle and not all difficult. Being subtle, you have to grasp it by attentive hearing and silent reflection. The lower practices will give only impermanent results. Again, all the benefits that will accrue to one from the lower spiritual practices are categorically classified by the rishis to be impermanent and in reality worthless. The attainment that one has in Jnana Sadhana is Paripurna. It is Satchit Ananda and Brahma Jnana that has no comparison in this world or hereafter. So never think of God and start praying of things in this world or hereafter. Never be a beggar, never have the attitude of supplication. If you pray to God, oh God, please give me jnana, he would, if at all, say, my dear Bhakta, why are you praying to me? I have already given you the chitta, use it, sit and contemplate. You will easily have jnana. Now there is a slok in Bhagavad Gita. It says, I am seated in the heart of every human being. From me alone remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness spring forth. From all the Vedas, there is only one myself as the pure consciousness. To be known, the maker and knower of the Vedas, I am the Atma. Vasana akshay necessary for Atma Jnana. The subtle tendencies must be destroyed for self-knowledge. Now, while you carry on practicing this, you will advance bit by bit in sadhana. Your mind will cease to be turbulent. It won't rush out during contemplation. You will enjoy the inner peace and poise resulting from the cessation of thoughts. But a stage will come when all the thoughts will completely stop and you will be in a state of shunya or jada samadhi, progressing no further. That is in a state of shunya or jada samadhi, progressing no further. That shows that Vasana's aksya has not been complete in you. Contemplation is only one aspect in Jnana and Nishtha and the other is Vasana aksya. It means destruction of propensities. That is subtle impressions. Dharma, prem and tyaga. You should base your life on dharma, ethics, discipline, and self control. Again, you must cultivate tyaga buddhi, sacrificial attitude, and try to develop pure love and compassion towards all beings. This is the best method of ridding yourself of the vasanas. In short, be pure, ethical, self sacrificing, and compassionate. Vasanas will then surely fall away. With this two pronged effort, you must carry on. Contemplation should go hand in hand with purity, love, and sacrifice. Just as two bullocks together pull a cart, so these two nididhyasana and vasana akshas should guide your spiritual life. Samadhi anubhava, experience of samadhi. That is the state of super consciousness. When your mind is absolutely pure, when all the vasanas are exhausted, one day you will have a very wonderful unfoldment of the Atma. It will be such a unique experience that you can never miss it or mistake it. What that Samadhi experience is like, it cannot be expressed in words. Nobody has explained it. It is just wonderful. That is all. Nothing more can be said about it. You will then have a feeling of absolute fulfillment. You will be complete in all respects, requiring nothing apart from that experience. This is the Samadhi Anubhava. Peace, joy, and prem will be bubbling up in your being. Tattvam Asi. As such, it is the origin of the whole universe. The universe is its expression. The Mahavakya Tattvam Asi teaches that basic I in us, which is the bedrock of all the thoughts and objective perception, is one with the Atma, the Sakshi. So take a firm decision to do very serious, systematic, sincere, steady, and steadfast sadhana. Wake up early in the morning, don't sleep, sit here and keep quiet and contemplate. Is there any other method that is easier and nicer? No. If you depend upon the man and buddhi alone, they will certainly betray you. Resort to the chitta and do the contemplation as explained. By this contemplation, the whole personality is purified and strengthened. The buddhi becomes sharp and the mana bright. After the contemplation, enter your daily life, do all your jobs well. Your work will now be more refined, polished. You will start working, executing, and not struggling. Work will be no more impure and irksome as you will find divinity everywhere. Ladies, do not waste your time in gossip in forenoons and afternoons, especially after 10 a.m. Your husbands would then have left for their work and children would have been sent to the schools from 10 to 12 noon is a wonderful period for you for contemplation. When you will be feeling slightly hungry, that is just the time to sit and contemplate. Never load your stomach anytime. Best of all time for practice is the early morning. Contemplate for 1 hour and you will notice that your body gets as much rest and composure as when you would have slept for 3 hours. Take to this glorious path and attain Atmajnana and live like the ancient rishis, Rishi Kumaras and Rishi Kumaris. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, dear friends. Please subscribe my channel, like, share, and comment the video. Thank you. Thank you, dear. Thank you.